Welcome to my humble little office. My name is Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 3rd, 2023 at approximately 4:29 p.m. PST. Now I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the precise same tools I personally use in my day to day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally guide my own life by. I've shared these tools and philosophies with thousands of people over the years, with varying degrees of success, depending entirely, of course, on their own personal efforts. Now, I figured I'd look at things a little different today. Well, gee, there's a shock. But I figured let's take a look at the benefits of the evolution of tabletop gaming. Okay, how does tabletop gaming and what you're building there, or what you see yourself doing there, how does that affect the physical world around you? And we will walk through that piece at a time. But before I get into that, let's start off with Black Dragon. You've got the gold today. Raymond L, you are in with the silver. And then we have Shadow and Sun in with the bronze. Of course, because Shadow is in here, we turn around and we go, where are we? This here, this here is the link to Shadow's live stream. So I really strongly recommend that you turn around, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. Then we have Joe in with honorable mention. Now, Joe starts off with, I really wish I had two trail cams. One pointing to the far left of the cemetery, the other one to the far right of the cemetery, so they can capture anything odd at night. Well, let's start with the obvious. What you got to do there is put the money aside and pick yourself up one. I've had to pray somebody gets you one. Now, myself, I'm in no financial position to do that yet. And Sherry B, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day has been going well. Now, when I started with gaming on the first Saturday of June of 1976, I haven't looked up the actual date, but it gives you an idea anyway. I did not realize how important that would become in the way of designing a future. Okay, now this funny little board here, I put this together just a couple of days ago. No, I don't expect you to read it. Okay, but this gives you an idea of what I'm building. Okay, I'll be expanding on it as time goes on. But basically, I mentioned I am going to build an empire. That is done by laying out the groundwork. Okay, you desire your life to change. It is done by laying out the groundwork, by using that imagination of yours and going, what could my life be? What could my life be like if only I did this? Well, there's only one way to find that out. And Black Dragon, it is amazing how many people actually do that. How many people gaming, in spite of all its negative connotations, okay, it is amazing how many people it has actually helped. Okay, now I'm currently working on a way, although I've started writing the interactive book. Okay, I'm working on a way to draw the interactive book into the real world, where when you're going through the book, you literally will be given tasks in order to get back to me and go, here's the book that I did. Here's the step I took. What do I do next? The reason for this is because it's going to help facilitate building a much stronger community. Community being global. I'm not worried about it being just local. Some of you guys I will never meet face to face. Okay, especially as things get bigger. But again, I asked a buddy, I asked my one game master one day, I says, why is it every time I start a character up, I'm building a flaming empire? And he never even blinked. He just looks at me and goes, drive. Okay. I see this world as a much more tightly knit community than what we are currently witnessing. And with your help, I know we can do this. Okay, I know it's an oddball way of looking at the world, but let's face it, looking at the world by modern means has proved to be, to say the least, disastrous. Now, where are we? Okay. Oh, forgot to write that down. One of the important factors of making certain things happen is to stay on top of them. Where is right there? Hmm. Just looking for a note. Hmm. Yeah, that was before. What am I looking for here? Way back two. Oh, there we are. So right there, we got up to 3 man, 233. That works out well. So third, 1430 to 1500. That way, I know what my sleeping pattern's like. Okay, I take a look at this world and I go, okay, I'm not content with my world. If I leave my world hiding in the shadows, what I'm doing is just saying, I'm not content, so I'm going to sit here and whine about it and hope somebody else comes in and changes it. Okay, well, nobody else is coming to change it. God's not coming down. Satan, the aliens aren't coming down to straighten it out. You can bet your bottom dollar the so-called elites aren't going to do it. And frankly, the people that are claiming to be better than others are have no interest in leveling the playing field. Now, myself, I'm not better than you are. Okay, in a lot of ways, I'm a lot worse. But am I going to change things? Absolutely. So here's the deal. Okay, my imagination went into overdrive, and I went, okay, I've got a world I'm not content with. Now, I don't control the whole world. Okay, I really don't. Lord knows if I did, there'd be a lot less people on some days. So let me ask you this. In your life, how do you imagine your life looking? It absolutely is shallow. It is the one time I've seen people from ages 8 to 80 playing Dungeons and Dragons together or various other games. And they all have the same problem. I've got a new character. It's first level. Now we got to figure out how to work with each other. And even in the gaming world, as in the real world, and Shadow, I'm absolutely certain you found this. If you take the characters and you go, okay, none of you know each other, you got to survive. You got to learn to work together. Okay, Donna, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You got to learn to work together. And yet, gamers like the UFO people, and watch this, okay? We have gamers. You tell me you got to work together to survive. To survive, they still fight amongst each other. UFO community, many of them will turn around. You approach somebody that claims to believe in off-worlders, in ancient races. You go, I think I may have been abducted. The massive majority of them will look at you cross-eyed and go, oh, that can't be real. You're just looking for attention, or it's your imagination getting away from you. Okay, you go to the governments around the world. I'm not talking about just the US government, just the Canadian government. Pick a government, doesn't matter. You don't talk to the people in government. You talk to the people on the street. Okay, and you'll find that the governments do not put the people as a priority on the whole. Yes, there is the occasional politician that goes, "I'm here to help the people." Okay, the majority of people that become first responders become that way to help, but the system is broken. Okay, actually, in all fairness, the system is fine. The people that are getting involved in it are forgetting what they're getting involved in it for. Okay, World Bigfoot, how you doing? There we go. Donna, I'm gonna get to you in just half a second, World. Donna goes, I saw a Bigfoot walking over my pet's grave, lit up by lightning bugs. That would be normal from my eyes. And World goes, hey, I've been tabletop gaming since the early 70s, before there was a D&D. So I can contribute to this conversation. I just got back from the local gaming store too. How you doing, World? Yeah, I was, let's see, 76. So, well, for me, it was the mid 70s. Of course, in all fairness, I was only 13 when I started. But World is in the house, so you take a look at this. And this is the link to World Stream. Okay, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, come out and give him a thumbs up. And absolutely share the daylights out of it. Donnie, in answer to your question, I finally got my head focused. Oh, nice. That is excellent, Shadow. Now I'm going to put something out there for you. Old school gamers there is a big difference between old school and new school. New school gamers are tied into the computer. Okay. Now, here's an idea for you, Shadow, and just something I'll talk to you later about it in more detail. But something I've noticed most gaming stores that I've been in don't carry. They carry gaming stuff, they carry dice. What most of them don't carry is your science fantasy stories, your science fantasy books. Something to keep in mind. Well, Joe, a red light on its own, going left to right, up and down, is trying to confuse you. In all fairness, that is likely, and well, you can classify it very easily as a UFO. It is an unidentified flying object. What they are doing, in all likelihood, is scanning the area, probably a grid work. They are likely looking for someone or something. No, I do not feel anybody's in danger. But you got to remember, these guys, when you're looking at off-worlders, they have the same outlook that humans do. Let's explore what is out there, what's going on. And I will tell you, in the UFO community, humans are a priority threat because humans don't understand the idea. The individual humans don't get this. You can't do that. And of course, it's funny. I was looking at stats years and years ago. Yeah, absolutely, world. I remember going to a place and that's where we got our stuff. Right. Then they evolved into their own thing. Now I'm telling you, okay, the old school gaming is now pertinent in today's world. And here's how. Okay, let your imagination run with it for a bit. Look at your life. Go, are you content? Okay, now, this neat little thing here, I just showed it to you a minute ago. Whoop, got it upside down. Not that that matters to you. Okay, this is the center I'm building. Okay, I've got all sorts of things set around the outside, not the least of which is consulting, writing, and what have we got up here? Sheet's too big for me. I've got your coaching going on for people dealing with issues. But if we get that out of the way, that's way too big a sheet of paper. Haven't figured out where to put it yet. Got to find a place to hang it, but I will tell you, take a look at the way your world is. Okay, how are you going to change what's going on in your world? In my world, it's simple. I'm in the process right now. Where are we? There we are. Okay, I'm just going to bounce this off you guys because this is what's happening. You get an idea in your head, or more to the point, I get an idea in my head. And this is why I say these are tools I personally put to use. Okay, when you let your imagination go and you follow you follow your heart. Okay, your heart desires a better life. Use your brains to get there. Talk to the people that have done it successfully. Okay, talk to the people. Like, I cannot tell you how to be a millionaire. Haven't made it that far yet, but you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to. Okay, now there's a staggering number of you that are having incredible problems that you're running into. Now, quite honestly, 75%, well, probably 85% of what I look at and what any psychic consultant looks at is common sense and life experience. Okay, the fact that I'm also a multitasking gamer just makes it a little bit more twisted on occasion. Oh, here we go. World goes, D&D has been on the downslide since the Bloom brothers ousted Gygax at TSR. Every iteration is wimpier and weaker. Now it's like D&D with diapers, training wheels, and water wings for the crybaby crowd. Sad to say, in their world, I agree with you in a lot of ways, which is why I've turned around, and you'll love this one. Do I have one here? I do not have one. Oh, I do so. With my new gaming crew. Okay, I turned around and took an age-old Dungeons and Dragons problem. Okay, as most of you know, if you play D&D, a mimic is a huge monster, nastier than all get out. Usually shows up in the form of some sort of major chest. Okay, what did I do to these guys? They're all sitting at the table, and this little dwarf, we call him a battle ranger. Okay, spiked armor all over the place. He walks up to the gamer's table with a ceramic appearing bottle in his hand. And this little dwarf sets it on the table and he goes, "I need this opened." Well, one of the gamers, it could have been any one of them. One of the gamers grabs hold of the thing and goes to open it up. Turned out this little munchkin was a mimic. Okay. All mimics are not, they don't start off 8 feet in diameter, sort of thing. They have to start out somewhere. Now, I've got to ask one question there, world. What, pray tell, is the OSR movement? As you know, I'm not exactly versed in technological terminology. Unless we go off world, at which point we're doing not bad. But I dropped this in the middle of their lap, and all of a sudden, all heck broke loose. They had a common denominator. Okay, they had to fight to survive in the first place. Okay, but I've decided, okay, I desire my world to work a lot better in this world. World, you're absolutely right. I've been a recluse for the last decade. Okay, and I certainly haven't been online much. So you're absolutely right. I don't get out of the house. I don't. Well, I do. I go to the restaurant. But no, I have not dealt with a lot of people. This is why I say when people talk to me about, well, have you heard about this? No, I really haven't. Only I don't think people really get that I haven't. Okay. So with that in mind, and unfortunately, I don't take offense to that at all. Okay. Absolutely. Now that part I absolutely agree with. I took a look at the way that they've crippled. This is why we don't play. What is it now? Fifth edition. We don't touch it because it is way too complicated, and way too complicated, and gives you no freedom to think. Okay, so this is why we changed and why we've modified things, or more to the point, stuck with some of the old school rules to simply keep that one going. Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I look at it and go this way. Imagination, D&D was built on imagination. Now what's happened is D&D has been, if you will, it's been pushed too far into the logical, controlled fashion. They did the same thing with children's shows. Okay, you look at Sesame Street. When I was growing up, on Sesame Street, they had the Snuffleupagus. He was an imaginary character. He was literally Ernie's imaginary friend. Nobody else could see him. They pulled him out because he was too much of an imaginary character. Okay, this is what has happened, is we're being taught you have to think without using your imagination. And it is the imagination that creates the world that we're in. You desire a better world. Imagine what it would be like if only you did something. I'm looking at it going, how is my life going to change? And as a side effect, how can I assist other people's lives in changing? If only I turn around and do things. Okay, now with that in mind, whole pile of stuff here I don't really require. Okay, with that in mind, I'm now building a world. Yeah, see, and how do you deal with this one there, world? Okay, I've got a character like this. I know how to deal with him. Okay, I've got a character. Every time the game master says, here's the rule, the guy goes running to the books and goes, but it says right here. Okay, it's he is what we tend to call a rule monger. And I always looked at the DMG, the Dungeon Master's Guide, as a guide. Oh, Joe goes, funny thing is, the neighbor's shepherd dog started barking towards left the cemetery an hour ago. Could be paranormal or a deer. Given the time of day, probably a deer. Is it possible it was something else? Absolutely. Okay, but first rule of thumb when it comes to the paranormal, always take a look at the logical side of it first. Doesn't mean the paranormal doesn't happen. Think I missed. Raven, how you doing? As a matter of fact, Raven, where are you? Here we are. This is Raven Stream. So we pop that in. And again, guys, drop in, give her a listen. If you like what she's got to say, give her a thumbs up, and then subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Okay. World goes, It also says right in the original version, the rules are guidelines, and the DM gets to make the final call. That stops rule lawyers dead in their tracks. Yeah, I wish it did with this one. So what I found is this, and I made a rule right when I opened the game up, when I started game mastering again. You start pulling out books, number one, your character is going to pay for it. I mean, because this idea of going, oh, it says in the rules, in case you hadn't noticed, gaming is not about following every rule. A bonus there, Raven. You know, the same applies to life, guys. And this is why I said the benefits of the evolution of tabletop gaming. Once you get it straight in your own head, that you take a look at the world that is built around you. Somebody else built it. Somebody else. Okay. Now you can call it the elites, you can call it the government, you can call it Aunt Fanning for all that matters to me. Okay, somebody else built the world you're living in. You're the player character. You're the one that gets to look at the rules as the world is sitting and decide how to change them. Okay, how to live your life in amongst the rules that are there. Now, obviously, like it or not, okay, there are certain rules you kind of have to live by. You don't have to believe in gravity, but I'll guarantee you step off the balcony, you're likely to fall. Okay, there are exceptions. I'm not willing to test that exception. But what I am looking at, okay, is I'm looking at the world I've got around me and going, okay, I need to build. I am going to build this empire. I'm going to make a dent. Okay, and I'm going to make it as easily accessible to as many people as I can, whether it is through the writing that I'm doing, through the consulting, through courses I'm in the middle of putting together. All of these are variables that are being included. Okay, now I know some of you have already said that, especially if we look at the gaming world, rules are being put in place where everything is being handed to people on a silver platter. Okay, essentially. Now, the neat part about it, okay, is I'm looking at this going, okay, time to open the doors, time to tell people, okay, you can have the world you desire. Okay, you can co create a better place for yourself and the people you're in contact with. And just a real quick update, my 8th book, I just sent the information in to be added to my website. Okay. And like I said, it's time to really start making things happen. This is the website that has the basic descriptions for the different books I've written. Okay. Where are we here? One of the things that I am looking at, okay, one of the things I am looking at is how do we take the world that we're seeing, the world that we're bearing witness to, that virtually everybody is pointing the finger at somebody and going, it's their fault. Now, my imagination runs a little hyperactive on occasion. I had a dwarf one day. He came on into the city. And of course, he was met with xenophobia. It's like, oh, you're a dwarf. We don't like you here. Go down that sector. It's like, okay, well, I'm used to people not liking me. Right. Goes into the other sector. Okay. He goes to him because of the way he was a mage anyway. Okay. So it was gay. It was to the point he wanted to light up his pipe. So he cast Firefinger. Right. Essentially a bic in the palm of your hand. Okay. And the guys looked at him and went, what are you doing? Magic is illegal. He goes, okay, well, that's annoying. And they're like, what are you lighting? while I'm lighting tobacco. Oh, drugs are illegal. Okay, I'm not staying in this city. So where's the nearest bar? Alcohol is illegal. My little dwarf looked at the guy and goes, somebody's gonna die. Okay, next thing I knew, because of the way the character came along, my character ended up literally stealing the city. Okay, he literally stole the property ownership from everybody in the city, the king included. Okay, now I'm looking at what I've got here. I've got this humongous idea. Okay, and I've got all these obstacles I keep running into. That's not going to stop me. Now I do, I just noticed here Raven's asking, where are we here? Where did Derek? Oh, Raven's just asking, Derek, did your ghost? Derek, you didn't have the ghost woman, did you? I could be wrong there, but Raven is asking, Derek, did your ghost woman make an appearance last night? I'm looking at our world and going, okay, if I'm going to come out of the shadows, I'm not going to come sneaking out. It's not working. The idea of sitting back and letting things happen hasn't happened. I've hidden for 55 years. It hasn't done a thing. So now it's time to step out of the shadows and go, this is what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm not going to guarantee what I'm doing is going to work, but I will guarantee that what I'm doing, I am going to keep doing until I can't. Until I'm no longer capable. And yes, this is one of those issues I really have to do. There we go. Now, what? Here we are. Joe goes, I can recall through up north in Hillman, Michigan in the late 80s. My uncle's mom's brother, my uncle, my mom's brother, would introduce us to Dungeons and Dragons. And it's not for everybody. So what I'm looking at is this. Dungeons and Dragons, the imaginary world, is not for everybody. But the principle of changing your life is the same principle that the gamers use to take one character and build that character's world. So let me ask you this, and you don't have to answer this one. That'll come next week. Okay, when we start really doing the work. But ask yourself this: if you had your druthers, okay, what would your world look like as far as your health, your finances, your creative capacity to express yourself? What is missing in your world? Okay, that's the first thing I had to look at. So it really boils down to this. It's time to put our imaginations to use, to step outside of the educated box we've been trained into. Because in case you hadn't noticed, and it applies for the educated, the pedagogical system, the spiritual system, the political system, and sadly, the gaming system, we are being told how to think. Okay, we are being told what to think, not how to think. Okay. Just a thought, Black Dragon. I realize the bacon attachment. I understand that all too well. But you might want to have pigs running around. Okay. And I don't mean pigs from the bear pigs. Okay. But you might want the pigs running around, because sadly bacon does not reproduce of its own accord yet. Mind you, given modern scientists, they may be looking for a way to make that happen. And where are you driving off to today there, Nathan? Let's see here. Nathan, there we are. And we go copy, and this is the link to Nathan's show. And what you do there is drop in, give him a listen. Hey, world, 42 is the answer. What's I don't know. When I found out about it, what is the meaning of life? 42. Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong question. Yeah, absolutely. Although I do recommend Shadow, like I've done that before, but I recommend that you chop the bacon up a little so it's not one long strip. Primarily because it's easier to eat in my eyes. You know, praying being a habit there, Derek, is not a bad thing. How you doing there, Forrest? Glad you could join us. You know, the nice part about this is you imagine your world. Let your imagination build it. I see in my future, and this is not a question of just going, this is what I'm thinking about building. I was talking to a friend of mine when I got this image in my head. Okay, I've got an absolute layout now set up for a massive company the size of a corporation, but it will not be incorporated the way the corporation laws stand right now. I'm not doing that because I'm not giving people the chance to steal what I've got. Okay. But when you let your imagination really, really start to evolve, okay, you can take the smallest idea and blow it into a huge factor. Now, what would you do if I told you I figured out a way where we can make that happen in your world, where I figured out how we can actually open the door and get you guys started on attaining, not pursuing. I love the idea. Chase your dreams. Why chase them? Draw them to you. I'm lazy, so I prefer drawing my dreams to me. This is what I'm doing. Okay. And this is what I'm proposing I do with you guys. Now, I will remain, the stuff on this stream, on the newsletter, will remain free. But it's time to really take your imagination and let it start to guide where your life is going. Co create the world you desire. Okay. Now, I'm looking at this, and if we go up just a fraction, back up to where, nope, a little above that. There we go. Now, Raven, like I mentioned, and Raven, you got to make sure. Well, you don't have to, but it would be appreciated if when you get your YouTube channel up, make certain you get the new one to us. Absolutely imperative in my eyes. Okay, what do we got? You know, the funny thing there, world, if you had a plantation, you could use the plantation to raise more of the things that the bacon does grow on. Now, of course, I will tell you from practical experience, raising pigs is, well, it's a messy business. But when some genius comes out, that's terrible, Black. You know, when some genius comes out and goes, hey, I've got a vegetable substitute that tastes just like bacon, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm not going to the store to buy vegetable based bacon. If I desire bacon, I'm getting actual meat. At least as close to it as I know how to find. Okay, but D&D and the tabletop gaming world is the trigger for a lot of the creative minds that we see floating around. So, Joe, I mean, I'm baptized Roman Catholic, but I was actually raised broadband Protestant. Does this mean that I'm in the doghouse? Or as a friend pointed out to me one day, she thought she was trying to be funny, and she turned around, looked at me, and goes, right in front of my wife at the time, she goes, oh man, Keith, are you ever in the cat house tonight? And she stops and goes, that doesn't sound quite as bad now that I think about it. But you take a look at your imagination. If you think the way everybody else does, okay, as a friend of mine put it, dead fish do not swim upstream. Okay, let your imagination see the world you desire to live within. Okay, absolutely stay within the laws that are written. Absolutely stay within them. But if they're not written laws, do your best to bend the daylights out of them. Derek, I cannot agree with you much more. Although the restaurant that used to make that the best now is in the dumps as far as I'm concerned around here. There's no way I'll go back to it. I went to it once and that was way too many times. But Derek's just going French toast and convection and powder. Sounds good right now. Yeah, and many people call that a breakfast. I look at that and go, it's good any time of the day or night. Shadow, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Really happy you did. And absolutely have a riot. Always make sure you throw a curveball at gamers. Because Lord knows the gamers are going to end up throwing a curveball at you. Okay, in this world, in the material world, away from gaming, it is time to take a look at what you're doing, figure out how you can throw a curveball so you can stand out and become that beacon of hope, that beacon of success, in spite of the competition around you. Okay, this is the time to focus on what you desire, but let your imagination guide it. Okay, and yes, I am setting up ways of making that happen. I haven't figured out all the details by any functional stretch. What I have figured out is that if we continue on the path we're on, doing exactly what we're told, okay, doing things exactly the way we're told they have to be done, we're going to build a society that doesn't have any creative side to it. Net result, it will buckle. Okay, it is not the big corporations that have the imagination. It's the people they hire. Okay, it's not the sports franchises that are so good at sports. It's the players, the people they hire. You are one of the people that get hired. Okay, and it's time to step up and say, "Hey, I did a good job." Okay, I mean, this is just the reality behind it. Now, like I said, I do not make decisions for people. Okay, I make a decision for me. Turn the lights on and go, this is where I'm heading. If you'd like to fall in, walk beside me. I am not better than you. The only thing I am is a little more focused than some of you. I know what I'm aiming at. That's great, Derek. The funny thing is, I was baptized Roman Catholic against my parents' wishes. But the priest on the base was absolutely insistent. If I wasn't baptized, I was going to hell. Well, little did he figure it out. I went anyway. Great spa. Hot tubs are way too hot as far as I'm concerned, but their deep tissue massages are to die for. By the way, I do mean that literally in this case. But when we have to look at, the really neat part, like we're looking at this Catholic thing, you realize that when I was growing up, it was the Christians that really had they really had a stick in them that were saying, "Oh, you're evil. You're doing the devil's work." I'm telling you, the reality is when I was growing up, the religious people around me were firmly convinced that we would sit down in dark places and learn how to cast actual spells. We would learn how to cast fireballs. And as my brother put it one day on radio, he goes, "Look, I've been doing this for decades, and I have never even heard of somebody casting a fireball." That's just the reality behind it. Gamers are simply people that think well outside the box. In my case, I can't figure out where the box is. So let me ask you this. If you had one thing that you were not content with in your life that you would like to change, what would it be about you and your life? Society itself we'll get to in a little while, but this is where your imagination comes into play. Okay, I've decided there's no schools, at least not in this area, that actually teach how to access the higher senses. We're getting started on that on, where are we here? Oh, there we are. Yes, on Friday the 6th. And this ought to be entertaining because Friday the 6th, by the way, I am also going to be back on Spaced Out Radio. Okay, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific time with the ET connection. And this, of course, if you're not already aware of it, most of you I think are, this is the link to Dave's show, to Spaced Out Radio. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. What have we got here? Derek's going, all I can say is for me, apparitions of Mary are real, and yes, I witnessed true physical healings. I'm not even going to try and pronounce those right now. Yes, the neat thing there, Derek, is there are some really great places that are very relaxing. Okay. And it is something to be really happy about. What temperature are we looking at? I just gotta find out where temperature actually. Well, that didn't work. And we have temperature. Our temperature is right now in the high 60s, very low 70s. I'm waiting for there's one person I'm waiting for here that's come in, but I am happy to say, and this is really, really important from my end. What are we? And Joe goes, I'll just say this, I'm Catholic, I'm not a practicing Catholic. Hey Joe, you do know that means if you're not a practicing Catholic, it means you got it right. You're one of the few that has actually figured it out. Okay, I made the mistake of asking a guy one day what he was missing because he told me he was a practicing Catholic. I said, if you're still practicing after all these years, what are you missing? You know, I mean, myself, I've never even attended a Catholic service. I grew up in a broadband Protestant. As in every 3 or 4 years, we get a different pastor in. But I'm looking at the world right now. Yeah, world goes. What have we got? Yeah, the Satanic Panic crowd. D&D is evil. None of them know anything about the game. If they did, they would know the players play hero characters. They'd go wipe out monsters and demons and liberate their untaxed treasure. Absolutely, world. Player characters do not play an evil campaign. They really don't. Once in a while, you'll get somebody that ventures into that, and usually the characters are dead within the first day or two. Okay, but the idea is harness your ability, and I'm asking you guys to do the same thing. You're doing it anyway. Oops, I'll be right back. Never complain about drinks being dropped off. Okay, where are we here? Yeah, that's all. Now, okay, where are we? Okay, and I know I saw Angels of Life. How you doing? Hey, Nikki, hope things are going well for you. And where are we here? There we are. And this is the link to Nikki's live stream. So absolutely, drop in, give her a listen. If you like what she has to say, do give her a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And then share the daylights out of the thing. Nathan, how the heck did you get a day off? I didn't think that was permitted anymore for you. But See, that can go down there. But yeah, I'm looking at this, and yeah, Black Dragon, you're absolutely right. And this is what we're going to change here right now. Okay, it's time to start putting putting our imaginations into work together, so we can actually co-create a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, Christine, how you doing? I might have saw you come in a little. I did see you come in a little earlier, but that's not a problem. Yeah, Nathan's driving his train. Yeah, there goes. Nathan's driving his time travel vehicle. He's been holding out on us. Now that wouldn't entirely surprise me. Now that's a well-kept secret, Nathan. You don't even know you're keeping it. Let me ask you guys, just simply because of the fact I'm building it anyway, so I may as well find out what's needed. If there were, well, there's going to be a school that teaches the paranormal world, what in your eyes are you looking to learn or looking to remember is more to the point. Because the easiest way for me to make things happen and to do it in the right order is to find out where the real demand is. And you guys are my microcosm. Okay, it's that simple. From my standpoint, we desire the world to change. No, I do not eat bananas that often. There we go. See, I usually put blueberries in mine. Yeah, forest blueberry right off the bat comes up with third eye activation and astral travel. And I will absolutely be opening that door. Yeah, we're not starting by going, let's show you how to astral travel. There is groundwork that's going to be done first. Okay, but that is certainly one of those things. I've been doing it all my life, so what the heck? But we're actually going to open the doors of that one. Okay, to the idea of remote viewing. We are going to open the door to that in 3 days. Today's Tuesday, so Friday, however, Tuesday. Yeah, in 3 days, we're going to start opening the door to remote viewing. Okay, I've already got the stuff in place, so we're going to look at that. Now, do understand something. I'm going to show you how to do things that I may not personally be doing. Okay, but we are going to look into, getting that sense working, understanding the way the paranormal world works. Okay, we are going to be opening the door to a lot of different venues, not the least of which I'm actually starting to work on something that I haven't done in a very long time. I've got all the tools, but I am going to be looking into the idea of doing natal charts again, but I got to find out how many hours it's going to take me to do it to put a price on it. Because no, I will not be using a computer program. But I am going to teach, where are we? Absolutely, angels. That falls under the category of philosophy is where we're really starting anyway. Okay. Where am I here? Yeah, right now we're dealing. I've already got set up to do what is it called? Um, Not counseling. There's another word. There was another word we were told. Oh, coaching. That's the word. Okay, where we come to accessing the higher consciousness, we are looking at the coaching side of it. And I'm literally putting a package together because obviously if I'm building a school, I'm not building it for free. This is going to be done for free. The newsletter will be done for free. Okay. Oh, fantastic there, Forrest. Now, that's one of those neat little things that I will tell you. I uncovered a way decades back where you can take subliminals of your own creation and have results in 3 weeks, not a year. I mean, you'll have results in a year, but you'll start having results within 3 weeks. Oh, angels, that is fantastic. You know, we are going to be looking at keep forgetting the word. We are going to be looking at coaching at actual programs I'm actually saying together to help people understand how to do such neat little things like self-healing. Okay, we are going to be working on the writing on the books I've been dealing with anyway. I'm pushing the idea of getting your guys' stuff published. Okay, we're going to look into the paranormal enhancement, understanding the different tools, and frankly, learning how to utilize them. I've already drawn a course out in, what we got? There we go. And world, congratulations. World's just gone. I got my Isuzu to do short range driving. Camper needs brakes and brake. Yeah, well, you got to get the camper with brake work because I will tell you this. If the camper doesn't have brake work, it's going to be a riot going down a hill. Okay, I am in this school going to be dealing with the consulting, personal and business. Okay, as well as looking at merchandising and many other little aspects. But it boils down to which ones are in the highest demand. Okay. Forrest, did anybody explain to you how to kill a headache almost instantly? Okay, literally, if you haven't done this before, next time you feel a headache coming on, take both your hands, palms towards each other, about a half an inch about a quarter inch to half an inch apart. You'll feel some sort of energy around traveling between them. Might be pressure, might be waves, maybe temperature. When you feel it, start separating, like focus on that energy, but you concentrate on one word: heal. As it gets stronger, pull your hands apart. Where it comes to a headache, you got one of two options. Bring your hands on either side of the headache, on either side of the head, still feeling the pressure between your hands, still running that word heal through your head. Okay, you'll feel the headache go away. You'll feel it reduce. The other option is take your hand, either one, put it palm down on something solid that usually sits on the ground. Okay, that usually sits on the ground, and visualize that excess energy running out of your hand, much like water out of a faucet. You'll find the drop in energy level will reduce the blood pressure. Net result, the capillaries shrink, the headache goes away. Because when the capillaries shrink, they take the pressure off the nerves that are causing the headache in the first place. Okay, and you'll notice I never said a thing about medication. I can say a lot of things about medication, not much of it's very nice. You know, yeah, well, it's not bad there, world coming down, no brakes, unless you're looking at switchbacks, at which point it can be really fun. That is fantastic, Christine. And this is why, yeah, this is why I say the tools I offer are ones I personally use. I had a headache a decade back. I think was the last actual headache I had. Okay. And I found that method worked like an absolute charm. And since most medication I'm pretty much immune to, I had to find a way that wasn't relying on medication. What I find appalling, at least from what I gathered, was that the pharmaceutical companies pushed to have white willow bark made illegal. White willow bark is what, from my understanding, they use to make aspirin. Okay, it's a painkiller. And they turn around and go, the natural stuff isn't legal anymore. You can't use it. But you can certainly buy our chemicals. I have a problem with this. What do we got here? Derek's going, sleep just hits different in an old time camper. Yeah. Yeah. He goes, brings me back to my wilderness 80s roots. Yeah. World goes, only about 40 curves on the way down. And let me guess, there were 70 on the way up. You do realize when you cut the number of curves in half, you're traveling too fast. Or not quite fast enough. But no, I'm looking at it this way. You let your imagination evolve, and you can make just about anything happen. The trick is believing it is possible. Okay, instead of going impossible, go I'm possible or it possible. Okay, the moment, whether you believe something is possible or you believe it's impossible, in either event, you're likely to prove yourself right. And that, yeah, no doubt. World goes, I only count outside curves where you can go over the edge. you know, you know, the way I look at it is this. You've got an imagination. This is clear. So many people I see in here are either current gamers, or they're creative people building things. You don't build without an imagination. Okay, you just don't. Because you've got to be able to see what you're building before you can build it. That is one very steep trip. Hopefully that wasn't with no, that was with 40 turns. Yeah, 4,000 feet, you're dropping about 3/4 of a mile. Well, 4/5 of a mile. That is not a bad drop. Okay. But again, your imagination, and this is the whole catch. Many of us started off as tabletop gamers. That doesn't go away. The modern gamers seem to gravitate towards the computer. I'm just going to push a button and pray. And for me, that doesn't work that well. Okay. But, I get a kick out of this. There is certainly, the moment you start dealing with higher frequencies, there are complications. Okay. But what we have to look at is something very important. Okay. So many people are talking about the attacks through phones. What would you do if I told you you can take that energy, that energy that everybody is assuming is an attack, and may well be, but what would you do if I told you that we could flip that energy around and capitalize on it, thus using it as a healing frequency by simply taking the inverse energy pattern and modifying it as we feel it's necessary. That is the power of the imagination. If you feel that 5G is going to hurt you, you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to hurt you. Okay. Angels, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but even hormonal headaches can be modified using that method. The key is you got to believe it's possible. I know this works, not because I suffer from hormonal disparity. You know, I'm always in a bad mood. So it's always pretty balanced. But you absolutely can use that same method to balance the hormonal imbalance. The moment you do that, and again, don't take my word for it, experience it yourself. Okay, whatever the damage is, you think of it this way. Okay, and I know you likely can't see it, but I've got a scar that's about that long from when they bolted my arm shut, or more to the point, plated. I broke the arm on March 3rd of 04 at approximately 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, broke it so bad they had to plate it. When I had it operated on within 12 hours. Okay, within 9 days, I had healed the damage using that heal technique. Okay, it simply accelerates your body's ability to put things back together. Well, that's just it. And I'm not knocking modern medicine because modern medicine does tend to work. It's a little harder on the system, but it tends to work a little faster. Okay, but the reality is, if you believe it's possible now, whatever you do, okay, and I mean this in all seriousness, if modern medicine is working for you, or if it's not, the tools I'm talking about are used in conjunction with modern medicine. Okay, and it's simply a question of manipulating your own biomagnetic flux. Okay, aka heal. You remind your body, it already knows how to heal. It knows what's wrong. You don't have to know what's causing it. Okay, so I'm looking at this, this empire, and I'm starting to build the web now. Absolutely, Derek. Okay, and this is why when I put the books together, they're put together with the idea of these are simple, these are easy to use. Even the healing techniques I talk about. That was really bad. Well, okay. He forgot I was online. That would be my son. Where the heck are we? Yeah, that throws me for a loop. This is one of those things that I really have to deal with. Well, more to the point, I told myself it was one of the things I will absolutely deal with. Like I said, whether I'm on air, whether I'm in the middle of work, okay, my family comes first. Okay, now I'm back sort of. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is just a question of I'm a firm believer. If you decide you're having kids, they've got to be a critical priority. Kind of like if you decide you're going to have a partner in life, that partner has got to be your priority over any other potential partner. Otherwise, you have a lot of trouble. I do hate trying to text, primarily because I can't do it well. Now, Black Dragon, you say you got to readjust your neck. Have you ever gone and talked? Have you ever gone and talked to a qualified chiropractor to show you how to adjust your neck permanently? Because I'll tell you, it is doable. Okay. Now, I'm no chiropractor. Okay, but I do know it's doable. What do we got here? The biggest thing about your imagination is this. When you get it in your mind what you're aiming for, the first thing you do is get it in your mind, get it into some physical form. Okay, and as you get it into some physical form, that's when you turn around and start making it happen. Yeah, I swear some chiropractors are simply in it because they're given the license to hurt people. I went to one because I couldn't get an angle on my knee. Since then, I figured out how. There goes. And the loud crunches are cool to hear. Yeah, but I'll tell you, they hurt like a dickens if you end up with that. I actually, when I say I had the pleasure, I had the pleasure of meeting sheep. Terrible when I forget a name completely. But Fire in the Sky. I had the pleasure of meeting him directly. Okay. And he ended up having to reset my shoulder. I woke up and I spent a week with him. Can't remember his name for the life of me. But I spent a week at a retreat with him. Woke up one morning and I looked at him and I said, "You're an EMT, aren't you?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Would you be kind enough to pop my shoulder back in?" He goes, "Are you sure it's out? It may just be a flip tendon." I said, "I don't know." I said, "I know it hurts like the dickens, but you decide." So I pulled the blanket off my shoulder, and I was this color down the length of my arm. And he looks at me and he goes, "That's wrong." You know, so he was kind enough to put my shoulder back in. Painful as all get out, but it did work. Just a thought there. Oh, thank you so much, world. I appreciate that. Derek, just a thought. I was talking to somebody else that has severe leg pains a lot of the time. And what they said was they literally drink a little bit of pickle juice, and that helps ease it off. Why? I don't know, and I don't know what brand of pickle they were drinking. Okay. Yeah, he really is. was funny. I actually spent 2 weeks over 2 years with him. Right. Where are we here? Oh, trust me, pickle juice can hurt, Derek. Found that out when I was working in the kitchen. Reached in, I had clean hands anyway, but reached into the pickle jar, to, into a great big 5-gallon pail of pickles, to grab a handful of pickles. Found out I had a nick in my hand. Pickle juice can hurt, but that's another issue. But realistically, take a look at your world. Take a look at your imagination and let it co-create the world you desire to live in. Make the changes you feel are required. Kind of an important factor. Derek, that's an excellent idea, but if I light a fire in the middle of my apartment, I'm thinking a few of my neighbors are going to complain. A lot. I don't mind the idea of singing Kumbaya, but I have a major problem with burning down somebody else's house. I was already in one and somebody tried burning it down while I was in it. But we started with tabletop gaming, and that's where children and young adults are reminded how to use your imagination. Yeah, Angels goes, that's the vinegar and dill and certain salt. One of bariatric nutrition, one of bariatric nutritionists explained it. Also help if one is craving carbs. Eat a pickle, the craving goes away. I've never craved carbs, not that I'm aware of. I know I've craved things, but usually I was hungry. So, let your imagination go. Figure out what kind of a world, in spite of what your world is, however it got to where it is. This is where we start using your imagination and put it to work. Isn't it a good thing this is not Ryan Ginger? And yes, I used to drink Ryan Ginger that fast. What do we got here? Their excuse for keeping the technology away is overpopulation. Well, I mean, talk about a bizarre excuse. The reality is, if we actually concentrated on healing people instead of killing them, we may have a better run where population itself won't be quite such a problem. But there's so much money being spent in the world right now, and so much thinking being spent on how to kill each other, how to separate yourselves. What I'm looking for, and one of the goals that I've got with this healing center, is to help people realize whatever your color, whoever you're sleeping with, whoever you're voting for, doesn't matter. It simply boils down. It simply boils down to everybody's in the same boat. Absolutely. By the time kids hit 4 or 5 years old, they're told literally, and this is across the board, all the way around the world. I've got clients all the way from China to Australia to Argentina and up here in Canada and everywhere in between. I even had a client that was up in Nome, Alaska. Okay. I don't No, I have one up in Nunavut as well, which is northern Canada. But here's the kicker. Okay, every family around the world, I shouldn't say every family, the majority, a kid has an imaginary friend or has this wonderful dream of, like, my little brother and I used to pretend the world had turned on its side, and we'd try and climb around the living room laying down, using the chairs and what have you as anchor points to climb. But as you get older, you're told, what a wonderful imagination you have. Now grow up and act like an adult. Uh, I'm not quite certain if that applies in their world. World's just going, hey, Black Dragon, all normal creatures crave bacon. I like bacon. I'm thinking personally that there are some animals that won't. But you may be right. Yeah, Donna's just going, I had one when I was younger. The funny thing is, most imaginary kind of friends, okay, the one thing I'll tell you there, Donna, if you're still seeing him, he's not your imagination. He may not be corporeal, but if you're seeing him, he's there. Okay, now that's an abnormal deer. Well, apparently you had Dick steal your beer or steal your bacon. You know, the funny thing is this. Okay, and I'm looking at this. Skip to Malou, how you doing? Saw the question, didn't actually read the name. Hope your day's been going well. You know, the funny thing is, I was told when I was growing up, we're given two ears, two eyes, and only one mouth for a reason. Okay, as in, you know, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, but see twice as much as what you talk about. Okay. In my case, and I'm going to throw a wrench in things, your eyes aren't the only place where you'll pick up optical information. There is a neat little thing that scientists are only just starting to figure out. And that is that optical information is also being received at the cerebral cortex, literally eyes in the back of your head. Okay. Now, I am certain, and I cannot prove it because I'm no scientist, but this little divot underneath the ear is also picking up optical information. Humans are built with the capacity to see 360. They just don't recognize it. And we're told you can't do it. I seem to keep forgetting what I'm not able to do. Of course, the neat trick there is when you forget you don't know how to do something, by default, you know how to do it. Okay. And the imagination is a phenomenal capacity. World, I could not agree with that concept more. You know, world's just telling us the Bible says it's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you, but what comes out of it. Okay. Skip Little Malou goes, every time I open my mind, another person thinks. So, influence. Yeah, every time you open your mouth. Same problem. Every time I open my mouth, I put my foot in it. And the trick then is how do I get the other one in behind it or beside it? Yes, Donna, that literally is the thing that helps you sense something is watching you. Is the optical nerve. The optical nerve here goes through the brain. Certainly it does. But the one here goes straight to the cerebral cortex. Okay, and these ones go straight into the right and left hemisphere. This is why you can sense things and you may not recognize it right off the bat. By the way, up here, your third eye. The third eye is right here. And then you've got the sixth Merkaba right here. Okay, kind of like a tear almost. Okay, we pull in information from all kinds of things. Okay, you also pick up sound. In case you hadn't noticed, listen to music, put your hand on the table. Okay, you'll feel the sound vibration. You'll feel it in your feet. Your ears are not the only thing that hear. Okay, but we're told your ears are all that you hear with. And it's just categorically, in my opinion, wrong. Or more to the point, incomplete. So, I take a look at the world and I go, okay, I'm building this. Now, what does that look like? Well, for me, it's global. Actually, for me, I'm going off planet. Because I have found that the off-worlders, the ancient races, the animals, the plants, the people, you've all got the same hang-ups. You're all taught you cannot do that. She always found the Big Bang was when Mom came into the room with a frying pan and took the spatula and went, bang, just to get people's attention. She wasn't ever mad when she did that. It was quite often noisy. But when we start letting our imagination grow, okay, we end up developing a staggering ability. Neat part is if you hear something growl back more often than not, it works. The one exception there, you ever hear a bear growl, look around. If you see a cub, get out of the area. Do not try and talk to the bear because I will tell you the bear is not going to be in a good mood. Well, if it's the Eye of Horus, we should give it back to him. Because if people are walking around with the Eye of Horus, we have an interesting problem, or more to the point, he does. But the reality of it from my standpoint, and again, I've learned this stuff by experience. I didn't bother looking into the training side of it. So a lot of the terms I use may not be concurrent with what other people are using. Okay, I will tell you that as you release your control over how it works, you'd let go of how does that work and go with the idea of it works. You'll find it's easier. Yeah, never growl back at something that's bigger than you. This is usually a bad idea. Although, in all fairness, it boils down to if you know the tone to growl at, they'll take it as a sign of submission. I've never even heard of those, in all fairness, Skip. Bear horns on cars. It makes sense. I did find out when I was a kid, if you're running a train through high country during rutting season, do not blow the train whistle. This does not end well for the train. I keep getting asked if I've got eyes in the back of my head. And quite literally we do. But they're not great big optical things. That looks really neat, but it's not quite the way it works. But when you let your imagination drive you, you can create a phenomenal work of art. Okay. And this is what I'm aiming for at this point, is this wonderful creative thing that can benefit everyone that puts it to use, everybody that participates in it. Because I'm done with this idea of we cannot heal ourselves, we have to go to the doctor. I'm living proof that's not the case. However, I still strongly recommend, if you're ill, especially if you got something real critical, get your tail feathers to a doctor. Okay? The fact I don't trust them is not an indication that you shouldn't. Yeah, sort of. I think we can safely chalk that up to this thing, though. My temperature is running a little high, so I keep the fan running so I don't end up with problems. You know, one of the things that we have to look at here, there's a lot of options out there, and I've run into a lot of people that have said, you can't do that. You know, you cannot build things the way you're doing it, or you cannot heal at that speed, or you cannot change your eyesight. Up until 2007, I was almost completely colorblind. Okay. And I had enough witnesses around me to know it. You know, it's like, that's why I never got into electrical work, because I just couldn't see the different colors. Yeah, I could see the different wires fine, but light gray and light blue and light green, look, we're both still light gray. I'm like, okay, so connect these two wires together. It's like, no, don't connect those two wires together. But what we have to realize is whether you believe you can do something or you believe you cannot. Either way, you're going to likely prove yourself correct. Now, let me ask you this. I know Nathan's got a project he's working on. I know that Raven now has a YouTube channel she's about to launch. Okay. I mean, she's been on Radio 12 for quite a while at this point. Come to think of it, I know I've got to get a hold of. There's a couple of people I got to get a hold of in order to start really pushing things. One of the big things I'm looking at here, and it'll be going out tonight because I just got part of it dealt with. Got the book. I did get the whatchamacallit. I did get Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams. I got that information off to my website handler. Okay, now it's time to get to the other ones, because many of them I use on my own accord. Yeah, world goes. I used to be crabby 100% of the time, but since I've been working on it for years, I am now only grumpy. I'm now only grumpy and only about 90% of the time. See, in my case, I used to be a professional procrastinator. Now I just don't bother to do it. You know, it's kind of like I built a minor change to the song, "Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble." I modified it a little, going, "Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble, so I don't even bother to try." I don't see myself as better than anybody. Okay, I mean, I'm barely functional half the time. But what I do have is a stubborn streak that says, I'm going to make things happen. And I'm going to keep the door open for as many people as possible. But the reality is, I'm not interested in facilitating people sitting back and going, oh, my life is miserable. Please let somebody fix it for me. You know, to me, that doesn't make sense. You were given free will. You were given freedom of choice. Okay, what you weren't given was freedom of consequence. With this in mind, oh, thank you so much, Derek. And just to make that a little easier, BMR, where are we? There we are. This is the link to, this is the link to Bigfoot Michigan Bob. This is his live stream. And since we've had that little piece of information, i.e., Derek has just said, after this show, Brian Bowden, man of 10,000 podcasts, is live on Bigfoot, Michigan. Okay, and there's the link for him. So drop in, give him a listen, and absolutely, if you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Yeah, no doubt. You know, the one that goes hand in hand with that world is, you know, those, I really wish those people that tend to say it can't be done would clam up and step aside while those of us that believe it can be are doing it. Okay. You know, I mean, there is a real neat way of looking at it. Yeah, Donna goes, I've got 3 spare guides. One is a woman, the second is, one's a young man, the second is a teenage woman, the third is an old man. Chad, how you doing? Glad you can make it. Oh, where are we here? Chad. This is the link to Chad's archives. Hopefully Chad will get back to getting some new ones put out soon. Hint, hint, hint. But here's the link. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he's had to say, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you can easily get back to it. You know, I mean, I've always held that the axiom that the American military came up with, or at least put to use, as I understand it, was the difficult things we're already doing. The impossible just take us a little longer. Okay, for me and for many gamers, we still have trouble finding the box we're supposed to think outside of. Although I did find it. I finally figured it out. Now, you know, I'm just thinking of it. I know what the box looks like. Think outside the box. You get one of the original starter packs of Dungeons and Dragons. There's the box you gotta think outside of. You know, the thing is, there we go. Appreciate the added input there, World. World goes, the Marine motto is improvise, adapt, overcome. Okay. See, we had a gamer that used to, that every time his character went into battle in the aftermath, he'd yell out. And I mean, literally, the character, we'd start the fight, and all of a sudden, this short little sheep would stand up and he'd go, Cowabunga Banzai, as he runs his character into the middle of the battle. I'm not sure, but I think it was a little off kilter on occasion. Matter of fact, I know he was a little off kilter on occasion. But let your imagination dictate what you can in what you can envision. then use your brain to make it happen. Yeah, the nice part there, Donna, the nice part there, all Bigfoots. Yeah, we'll go with all Bigfoots. All Sasquatch are, they are all of them are not 8 feet tall. They don't start out 8 feet tall. Yeah, see, we played D&D in the 80s, but in 1981, I think it was, Aftermath came out, or at least I was introduced to it. And Aftermath, like we had D&D, we had Traveler. With D&D came in Gamma World and Villains and Vigilantes. You get the idea. But all of these things pushed your imagination to the limit. But I will tell you, when you're looking at tabletop gaming as compared to computer gaming, tabletop gaming, bar none, hands down, not bar none, hands down, has a much more direct emotional interaction than computer gaming. I do. Forrest is Hearthstone. I'm presuming Hearthstone is a computer game, or is that a tabletop? Just a curiosity question on my part. I am going to be looking into. I was talking to my son the other day, my eldest. I was talking to him about the idea. Oh, there you go. It's an online card game. Yeah, well, that's just it. The Bigfoot, and the Bigfoot are, there's a lot of odds and ends around that. You know, but again, whatever your mind can see, and this is why I live by the axiom: when your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. I agree with you, world. That's why I don't do it. There's no draw to it for me. The hard part about the world we're in is we're taught to accept the way it is. I've never been able to accept a lot of things, not the least of which was being told I was epileptic and I would be that way for the rest of my life. It is still on my medical records, but I haven't had a seizure since I was 16. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm not gonna worry about it. Although it does have the benefit, the fact I'm listed epileptic does have the benefit of they won't take my blood. You know, but I'm looking at the world here going, okay, how do we make the changes together to really make things happen, to really get the door open? Now, let me ask you this, like, Raven, are you still actually in the house? I'm just going to give her half a second and we'll get back to her when she gets here. Um, but take a look at where your world is. What are you aiming for? I was asked the other day what I'm looking for, what I'm looking to get out of this empire I'm building. Okay. Oh, there we go. The funny thing about it is we can live our life the way we're told, or you can let your imagination see what you will and make everybody else accept your vision. Now, I'm hoping, Donna, this means you feel younger than 60. Okay, I know myself. I'm 60, and frankly, I'm in better shape now than I was when I was 30. You know, Mentally speaking, I'm a lot more worn out, a lot less, I've got a lot more frustration with the world. But 60 years watching people do things backwards might do that to you. Yeah. World goes, I realized when I was 10 and saw my first cryptid that the powers that be either don't know what the hell's going on or are lying to us. I know now it's both, depending on the source. Absolutely. I don't think I could agree with you more. Some of them just don't know what's going on. Of course, some of them don't know what's going on in their day-to-day life, I think. Yo, yeah, where are we sitting here? Well, there we are. The thing is, I look at it this way. I can accept the way the world is and go, I'm going to have to do things their way. I'm going to have to wait for them to get their act together and tell me it's okay to do it my way. Or I'm going to have to do it my way and everybody else can just adjust. So for you guys, I'm putting it this way. I'm building this pathway. I'm paving a road. It's that simple. It's your choice whether you want to go down the road or whether you want to cut cross country and carve your own road. Either way is fine by me. Okay. My goal is to inspire people to get up and make their own dreams a solid reality. Yeah, Skip's going, people don't want to know. You know, Malou, just relax. Don't care about the world. I can't ignore evil. The funny thing is, evil is one of these weird things that many times people are exhibiting evil behavior because literally they don't know any better. Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're treating somebody in a way you don't like, that in and of itself is evil. And people do know when they're doing that. But they may not know if they're isolated, they may not know that the behavior they're witnessing is not common. I think I had that one down to a fine art by the time I hit about 8. Yeah, skip the Malone. True ignorance means that people literally, for whatever reason, didn't get the message. Either they weren't taught, or it wasn't taught in a way they could piece together. Stupidity is when you know better and you do it anyway. What have we got here? There we go. Derek says, well, just had a talk with my 5-year-old son. He got he got in his first ever trouble in school. Today he wasn't listening, so he had to sit next to the teacher during reading time. No. Now, please tell me your son didn't lean over and start pointing out where the teacher was making mistakes. You know, that's where I used to get into trouble. It's because they teach us one thing, the next day they'd be teaching us something else, and I'd ask. It's like, why that? you know, but I wasn't bad. Comparatively, I knew kids that were down to the principal's office every day for causing a problem. You know, but the one thing we have to do now, the one thing we really have to do at this point is start looking at the way our world is going and ask yourself, is this the world you desire your kids to have or your younger friends to have when you leave? The idea is simple. Okay. The idea is very simple. Leave the world in better shape than when you got here. Okay. Now, with that in mind, guys, we're hitting the 2-hour mark here. Okay. Not quite 2 hours. We got about a minute and a half left. Okay. If you guys have liked the stream, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and please share the daylights out of it. I'm now looking into the other side of this, into figuring out how to make the Buy Me a Coffee work, how to monetize the system. And in the newsletter, I'm going to be showing you a whole new list of ways that I'm dealing with things. That said, I want to thank each and every one of you for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. I love the continued support, the continued encouragement. And if you've got questions or if you've got a comment, I'd love to see them in the comment section. Yeah, no doubt, Don. Don is just going, I still feel like I'm in my 20s with a lot more wisdom. But when I encounter the Bigfoots, I feel like I'm 7 all over again. Thanks so much for us, Louie. Now, with that said, guys, I'm going to bring this to a close. I do want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. Tomorrow we're going to look at the difference between a career and a job and help you decide which one you want to stick with. And then we'll go through the steps of dealing with it. In the meantime, guys, do take care of yourselves and absolutely take care of each other. Because the reality of it is we have to look out for ourselves and each other, because the Lord knows a lot of people that say they're there to help aren't. Okay, until we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.